We hear the Scooby laugh, but there's no Scooby, which leads me to believe this was a haunting image for some younger children that assume Scooby-Doo might be dead.
Since you send logos, you also have to nitpick when logos do something different that's related to the movie. I would have removed the sin from the movie doing something clever here, but of course you wouldn't.
Expositional scare eating.
Well, how else would you ask for this information to be explained to you? Do you want one of the characters to talk to the screen directly and tell you they're looking for a ghost in a toy factory?
Like there's a ghost right behind me, isn't there?
I understand Shaggy and Scooby are scaredy cats, but they were literally supposed to confront the ghost as part of the f***ing plan Velma just referenced. It doesn't matter how dumb the plan actually is, they're willing f***ing participants.
You answered your own question. They're scaredy cats. Just because Shaggy and Scooby knew this ghost was coming for them doesn't mean they wouldn't be frightened.
Scooby and Shaggy survived this.
Because they ducked out of the way?
Does this barrel not have a lid on either end?
This is a great example of you manipulating the scene. Earlier in this scene, the barrel had a lid on top of it, and Scooby jumped out of the barrel, and the lid even fell back on top of him comedically. You didn't show this, so if your audience hadn't seen the movie, they would fall for that.
Also, Matthew Lillard is 6'3", and would have nothing to hold on to in the barrel. So not only should his head be sticking out of the top, that barrel is defying gravity by being up that high.
You're saying this over a scene where a dog is talking and a guy used a flamethrower on a barrel that didn't burn it. This movie is based off of a cartoon. Let's not use real-world logic here.
This entire movie could be one giant this works sin, so let's just go ahead and give it 5 extra sins here. And yes, this is supposed to be essentially a live-action cartoon, but it's supposed to take place in the real world, so movie can't have its Scooby snacks and smoke them too.
How do you say this is supposed to be a live-action cartoon, and then immediately right after say this is supposed to be in the real world? This just sounds like you're trying to create an excuse to nitpick cartoon logic.
How could you, Pamela? I am a lover boy of George Clooney in proportions.
This is a kid's movie, right? Because Old Man Smithers is Judge Frolloing up in this scene.
Yeah, I want to call this a kid's movie. Its original cut was rated R, and some of the inappropriate jokes are still in here, making it a PG movie, which back in 2002 actually meant something.
For a group of people that dismiss the supernatural on a daily basis, they sure have no issue with a f***ing animal being able to talk.
Considering this movie's implying that Mr. Inc. has been around for a long time, and everyone already knows who Scooby-Doo is, yeah, they should just now freak out that he's talking.
I quit. I was gonna quit.
I quit.
Whoa, movie, not only did you blow your wad on that whole monster reveal story and Pamela Anderson, you're now throwing a protagonist argue for no reason before the climax of the movie cliche? Slow your roll, man.
I agree that this breakup is odd to be in the literal first 10 minutes of this movie, but I'm sinning you for not phrasing it right. I mean, characters argue in movies even before they break up before the climax, so what you should have said is characters break up before the climax cliche, which is an actual cliche that so many movies have been exploiting for some reason.
Updating Fred's look to be more 2002 Freddie Prinze Jr. is definitely the funniest part of this movie.
This laugh. Also sending something you like.
You really get the sense that Sarah Michelle Gellar just kept all the purple items from the wardrobe of the Cruel Intentions set.
I'm a black belt now. I've transformed my body into a dangerous weapon.
Daphne the Vampire Slayer.
This movie, that movie. What, not all the catchphrases need to come from the Birdman.
Why does Scooby have to dress up incognito? Not only is he well known to the world, a la Ted, he's the one soul that the villain needs at the end of the movie. What happens if he gets discovered by the flight staff here? Nothing, that's what.
No sin added. I just want you to keep in mind the fact that Jeremy is aware of events that will happen later in the movie.
Would you mind me taking a seat there next to...
The fact that the filmmakers went out and got talented people like Isla Fisher and Matthew Lillard is commendable. But since they stuck them into thankless roles in a shitty Scooby-Doo movie, sit it I shall.
Even though Matthew Lillard is freaking fantastic as Shaggy? Listen, I know this movie isn't that great, but you have to commend them for good casting.
Don't eat the kitty!
So, did he eat the kitty? Like, did the movie seriously just pan over to the start of the island without any resolution on the life of the cat, or the ruse that got Scooby on the plane? I mean, this is after 9/11.
It was meant to be a joke. That is all.
Casual assault and battery in full view of the public is super casual.
Are you forgetting that some of these people are being possessed by monsters? You earlier even mentioned that you know that Scooby is needed for the ritual later, so you have definitely seen this movie before and know this already.
If Velma has a raging mystery boner right now, why doesn't she ask these kids what they're clearly chanting? She's already been questioning folks.
Jeremy says boner.
Hamburgers. Oh boy.
Okay, everyone's accepting that Scooby-Doo can talk, but how the f*** did he learn to read?
You don't think Scooby-Freaking-Doo can read?
Don't they want to keep people out of the spooky castle? If it's this easy to get in here, there should be at least 17 of those horned-up college students up here f***ing each other.
No, none of the kids know about this castle. Daphne had to find out about it from a guy who had been here forever, and Fred and Velma presumably did some more detective work to figure it out.
And now for our dinner show.
Are you telling me that this whole f***ing house of horrors is controlled with one switch?
Yes, because that's what the movie is suggesting.
And if it is, why is everything coming on at different times?
They aren't. All these events are obviously happening at the same time.
How would they know where each character was?
I don't think that particular detail matters, since you literally said that this one switch turns on all the traps.
Why isn't anyone from the party noticing that big f***ing castle at the top of the hill is suddenly extremely well lit?
Because they don't know this castle is up here? And even if they did notice, why would they care?
Man, the insurance premiums for this place have to have been through the roof. There had to have been at least a couple deaths on the books.
Well, it was made by a villain.
Are you alright?
Wait, but what about the little person that was standing right f***ing there when Fred broke through the glass? He didn't even notice that asshole? And if so, isn't that also racist? God, Fred sucks.
If you watch the scene fully, you'll see that this guy ran out of the way and hid somewhere.
Wherever there's a brainwashing cult, there's always a power-hungry leader behind it all. The Papa Smurf figure.
So the Smurfs are still a cartoon in a world where Mystery Inc. is a real thing? What about Monchichi?
Why wouldn't Smurfs be a real cartoon in this world? Or are you just upset that the movie made a pop culture reference?
We're here to solve a mystery.
Yeah, how about the mystery of why all that turned on and tried to kill you a few minutes ago? Anyone interested about why that happened?
Fred and Velma did that since Fred was knocked into the control room. So yeah, someone was interested.
I got a plan.
Ooh, what's this smell?
Yes, I realize this is based on a cartoon that used to play loose with physics and hallway doors.
And we all know where you're going with this, so I'm just gonna stop and add a sin.
I think this describes a very old race of creatures.
Also, I know Velma's smart, but she hasn't done any research at this point, so how would she know any of this?
I'm impressed. You really aren't paying attention to a Scooby-Doo movie. Did you forget the earlier scene where Velma met the wrestler guy? In that scene, the bald guy talked about a bunch of monsters that used to exist on this island.
This enchanted island is a thoroughfare to the supernatural realm. For centuries, it was home to creatures who lived on the island, undisturbed. But then, 10 years ago, a real Montavarius antagonized these ancient beings by building a theme park here.
So Velma is just reconnecting this Damon-ritis to that.
Scooby, this is the most embarrassing thing you've done since you decided to clean your beans at Don Knotts' Christmas party.
This joke must have landed well for all the 7-year-old Don Knotts fans in 2002.
This is clearly a joke for the adults that are watching this with their kids. And considering this movie does rely on you having seen the cartoon, I'm pretty sure adults were thought about when the script was written.
Sure, they survived this because of the convenient-ass tarp that nobody knew about, but there were no injuries from the glass, the frame, the bounce, or the eventual landing.
I really shouldn't be surprised that you're still applying real-world rules to a movie based off of a cartoon.
Like what a drag!
Shaggy and C-3PO are clearly in competition for the worst forced movie puns.
Isn't it a popular joke to suggest that Jeremy is literally C-3PO? You know, since he makes forced puns all the time.
Thanks, Shaggy. Now let me go so I can return to my body.
And how does Velma know this will work? She's an expert on protoplasm leaving a body now, too?
That doesn't sound like rocket science to me. Are you seriously implying that this was something nobody could figure out?
Daphne, you okay?
Yeah, but I'm not Daphne.
Just what this mystery phantasmagorical romp needed. Body switch humor.
And why is that a bad thing exactly? Oh, you just don't like it, right? That's the reason?
I'm Fred again.
Fred-splaining.
Yep, he doesn't realize he's C-3PO. Please don't sue me.
They can't do the ritual without a pure human soul.
I didn't say human.
Oh boy.
Okay, look, I love dogs, and this is kind of like an emotional scene, but also, is Scooby-Doo necessarily pure of soul? Like, he's a good dog and all, but he definitely smokes a lot of drugs, is indulgent, and occasionally an asshole, like when he tried to fight Shaggy a few minutes ago. I'm not saying he's definitely not worthy. I'm just wondering if he was the best horse or dog to bet the entire Dark Apocalypse on.
Honestly, that's one of the most believable aspects of this movie. Scooby is one of the more innocent members of the team who cares a lot about his friends and loves eating food. And that doesn't mean he doesn't make mistakes.
You think I'm gonna fall for that? Trying to make me feel like part of the gang?
Dude, everyone in this gang has their own thing. Scooby and Shaggy are the stoners, Daphne's the good-looking but trying too hard one, Fred is the conceited leader that's not too bright, and you're the smart one. Given your one, well, in this movie, 3 character traits, how did you not figure this out?
Because in that breakup scene in the beginning of the movie, they tried to make a point in saying that Velma feels inadequate since Fred took the credit from her and saying he came up with the plan. I do think this is an odd plot point that should have been fleshed out more, but it is there.
Let's get jinky with it.
Holy I think I sighed so loud that I broke my xiphoid process.
Sinning this line.
Would you like another Scooby snack?
I get that they're trying to butter Scooby up for this sacrifice, but aren't all the minions supposed to be soulless assholes with limited vocabulary? This movie is unnecessarily complicated.
Did you forget that Mary Jane talked normally when she was being possessed?
Holy that asshole just stole Scooby-Doo's soul. This movie in all the ways that
yelling at the screen.
Through the daemon ritus, I shall absorb the energy source.
Man, this ending sure does feel Suicide Squad-y, doesn't it? All it needs is a fire god, and for Will Smith to say something extremely sexist.
Considering this movie predates that movie by 14 years, yeah, Suicide Squad stole from Scooby-Doo.
Look, Velms. A man in a mask.
Fred sees a small cut, then immediately decides to tear this motherfucker's entire face off. Jesus, this movie is dark.
It's a mask. Dude, you are literally saying this over a scene where it's revealed that Mondavarius was a robot this whole time. Why are you saying that Fred is tearing a face off?
The Matrix is a good movie, but seriously, The Matrix for ruining the majority of fight scenes for the next 10 plus years.
This fight scene isn't even that bad.
Wow, this is the biggest character switch Isla Fisher will play until she tells Vince Vaughn that she's actually not a virgin in Wedding Crashers.
Do I even need to say the thing at this point?
So, the plan just accidentallys? Like, they set up a good trap to make this happen, but everything went wrong, from the pulley system being broke to Daphne pretty much getting lost and her ass kicked above ground. But hey, kids movie from 2002, who really gives a shit, right?
It wasn't accidental though. Daphne literally kicked this guy down there, spilling the fountain on purpose. Sure, the plan they originally made didn't exactly work out, but Daphne figured it all out on her own. Which is the real sin, the fact that she's basically the only one who does anything to save the day in this climax.
I love you, Raggy. I love you too, Scoob.
Okay, just for the sake of nostalgia and the level of fun Matthew Lillard puts into these Shaggy performances, I'll take a sin off. But seriously, this movie.
But wait, didn't you earlier criticize this movie for having Matthew Lillard at all? Darn it! I was so close to removing a sin for finally agreeing with you, but you ruined it.
No. Wait. Wait.